special guest with us this week. We got Nate Gilmore all the way out from Kansas City. Nate, appreciate you joining the show. Tell the people a little about yourself.
I work as an editor for a church denomination, so depending on your perspective of the cosmic, it's a very important job, an irrelevant job, or just a terrible job. So I get to do stuff I enjoy doing, but it's a good job for me.
Awesome. Well, for those who don't know, I'm in a couple leagues, or at least one giant dynasty league with Nate. So I know him to be a solid fantasy football counterpart. So George and I brought him in this week to talk a little more football with us. So out of the gate, we saw, and we've talked about it already, we saw a ton of injuries this week. It's been an insane week. Big injuries to Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley. Let's start with C-Mac. What do we do here if you're a C-Mac owner? George, I'm gonna kick it to you first.
Well, what you do is, first of all, Panthers aren't having too much of issues because no matter who they put there, going to have a similar role, and they're not getting that many wins this year. So that's the positive. The negative is that if you are a Christian McCaffrey owner, odds are that you were on a snake draft and you went all the way around and you've got yourself a somebody that would probably be best as a beginning of third rounder. As your second rounder. So you got a lot of room to make up. There's going to be a lot of folks that are going to say, go out and get Davis because he caught a lot of balls. He has the role there, but he's always going to be the poor man's Christian McCaffrey there. I would say look out for folks like Robbie Anderson. If he's not taken in your league yet, he is doing really big things out there, and they're going to need him more than ever at this point.
Yeah, no, that actually makes really good sense. One of the guys I saw on the wire in a league is Curtis Samuel as well. And I saw they lined him up at running back a couple times. He got like 4 carries after C-Mac got hurt. And again, kind of like what you said, like they got to get that ball to somebody if it's not going to be McCaffrey. Nate, what do you think? Let's kick it back over to you.
Yeah, I in some of the leagues I was looking at, Mike Davis is one of the highest pickups this week. I also saw, this is just deeper, sleeper stuff, and we'll watch it. Unfortunately, some of these things are happening so fast, but Reggie Bonifon, I have no idea. I know Mike Davis is a little older, so that might be something looking at. And in the Christian McCaffrey, they're saying 4 to 6 weeks. Good news, he might be back faster than that. Some people are, hopeful, but yeah, again, like MURDOCK said, if you drafted McCaffrey, you waited a long time to get your 2 and 3 player.
So I'm in one other league other than the one I'm in with each of you. I did have the number 1 pick, did get away with McCaffrey, and somehow or another had Kareem Hunt that was left over at one point.
That's a good pick, yeah.
Kareem Hunt has been a godsend for me this year because, Cleveland is behind a lot. So what I'll say out there is what I'm doing as a Christian McCaffrey owner is I'm not worrying about getting Mike Davis. That would be nice, but the reality is I'm looking to, because you're not getting one guy and getting those points back, right? And so I'm trying to find whatever is out there on the waiver that gets me some of those points back, whether it's Davis or somebody else. So that, as a C-Mac owner, that's where I'm going, and just trying to find some way to replace some of those points or have a little bit of depth. All right.
It's a couple things I have there too. If you need to pick up people that aren't owned that much, why take a shot on where you don't know who's going to be the top running back when Myles Gaskin looks really good? Mm-hmm. Miami Dolphins looks like he's going to be the lead back moving forward. If somebody has not picked up James Robinson at this point in Jacksonville, they said that he's a bell cow running back for the rest of the year. They're really confident and high on him. The reason why they cut Fournette. So go out and look for somebody that owns the backfield as opposed to taking a dart throw on the 2 or 3 different options on a team.
Yeah,
if you have Christian McCaffrey, are you fighting much harder to get Mike Davis? How much are you willing to spend on that if that's the situation? I could see not owning Christian McCaffrey and going out and looking for gold in the waiver wire. But if I have Christian McCaffrey, I'm thinking it'd be nice to lock that up.
No, I'm there with you. That's kind of how I'm treating it. Is Realistically, in that league, the waiver resets, so I'm top of the league, so most points scored both the first 2 weeks. So no, I'm at the bottom of the waiver wire every week. So realistically, I'm not even wasting my time looking at it. I'm gonna wait, see where the chips fall. Once all the picks have gone through, see who's out there, and realistically, like I may not even make a move. I've got I've got plenty of running backs on that team. And I've got Gibson from Washington sitting on the bench. And I get it, it's Washington. But like George said, when you're looking for a guy that like he's going to dominate most of the touches in that backfield and most of the offensive snaps, that's a guy I'm looking for. And is he going to replace McCaffrey and get me 25, 30 points? Nope. But he should be good for 12 to 15. And then hoping that Kareem Hunt continues to have some big weeks while I'm waiting for the health to come back. So that's kind of where we're sitting there.
Yeah, my answer to that would be McCaffrey is coming back eventually.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
So you're going to be getting Mike Davis as an asset, maybe.
Yeah.
But if you go out and you pay attention to who's the lead back on some of these other teams,
yep,
you could have him as an asset, and you could have Christian McCaffrey as an asset when he comes back.
So what about the world of Saquon Barkley, right? If you're in a keeper league, obviously you're keeping him, but he's done for the year. Little different scenario. Are you trying to go get Freeman if he passes the physical? Is that somebody you want to go get? Now obviously Nate and both of our leagues, I think Freeman's already on a roster. Oddly enough, in our league, and even in our league, George, just a 12-team league, he's the guy who has him on his roster also had Saquon Barkley. What are the odds of that happening? So lucky get there. But for most of the fans out there, right, like this is going to be an easy get to go get a guy like Freeman. Is it worth it though? Like he's not going to come in and make an impact week 1. Is he even going to make an impact at week 2 or 3? And with that guy's injury history, I'm not sure. I mean, how long until he gets hurt and you're looking at Lewis or Gallman anyway? Also, it's not like Saquon was lighting up the world. Do you bother with these guys? That's a garbage team as it is.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing that's interesting this year, this is the first time in my fantasy playing history that the number 1 and the number 2 picks off the board, ADP, got injured. And that being said, I don't think either franchises had anything attractive behind them. So from a waiver fantasy standpoint, I'm almost wanting not to waste anything on this and hope others do in my leagues. I mean, again, I'll have to, late tonight we'll be looking on all that, but this is kind of a week in which you might want to just wait on some things and let people, go through that. And if you happen to be up at 2 a.m. to use the restroom, maybe grab your phone and see if you can get something as a free agent after the waiver is clear. But it seems like a fool's gold week for me. Could be wrong.
I'm with you. George, you kind of already touched on this, but waivers are getting thin anyway. The injuries have been piling up. Nate, you mentioned a guy earlier. God, I can't even remember who it was. Bonifone.
Yeah.
Who's that sneaky guy that's down there that we say, hey, he could be getting some carries. It's not necessarily a sexy waiver pick, but this is a guy that could get some carries without wasting a waiver slot. That maybe we want to take a look at. Almost like who's a sleeper pick in week 3, right? What are we looking at? For that, George?
So I think everybody's going to be on Gallman, but I think Dion Lewis is also a very sneaky pick because he was an all-purpose back for the Patriots back in 2017, finishing in PPR, I think as high as 15th. So the top end running back too. I think that there's going to be a lot of people going for Jerick McKinnon because of the fact that it's been a while since we've seen him.
Tevin Coleman's hurt too.
Yeah, we don't quite know how hurt Raheem Mostert is, and Mostert has been kind of lighting things up over there. So, I think to your point, I think that there's no real like silver bullet. It's just a matter of drafting well, drafting for best on board during the draft. And if you didn't do that this year, and you're just trying to fill your starting lineup, then maybe next year consider doing that because there's always going to be folks that get injured. There's no way to be able to prevent that. But if you pay enough attention and you care, then that puts you at advantage then probably over 80% of your league. Yeah. Because there's folks out there that nobody's even paying attention to at this point.
Nate, you'd mentioned Bonifone, if I'm saying that name right. Who else is a sneaky little? Yeah, who's a sneaky pick out there for you?
I think Wayne Gallman. I think Jeff Wilson could be.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a pair of touchdowns in the 2 games he played last year. The Niners are just a weird situation. I think everyone blew out their knee on the Niners team, both offense and defense. But
Yeah, they lost
they
the
have
whole team.
Yeah, their running backs are plug and play. I mean, they're all built the same. So McKinnon is going to be the great pickup there. But possibly if you don't want to waste a waiver or spend money on it, you could snag Jeff Wilson for cheap. If you're in a fab league, I would be putting $1 on a lot of these, a percentage point on a lot of these players, just because you might get something, But yeah, and I also think that you could do something crazy this week throughout the week. Don't waver and just watch Damian Harris, watch Rashad Penny. If for some reason you're in a league, which I am, where Alexander Madison or Latavius Murray aren't picked up, those are players that would be league winners if Kamara or Dalvin Cook went down. So watching that, because I think the thing that I noticed after this week is that this is a clear pattern of injury. So we might see another week where other running backs go down, who a piece like Alexander Madison is a more attractive pickup than a Deion Lewis or a maybe Devontae Freeman.
Yeah, I'll echo that sentiment. George and I were talking, I think Monday, and he's got Jonathan Taylor in our league, and I've already gone and taken care of it in our dynasty league. But people don't realize, like, Jordan Wilkins is gonna get carries there, the kid from Ole Miss, and he's gonna get carries there regardless, because the Colts like to mix things up a little bit. We know Naheem Hines is a pass catcher out of the backfield, but like those are guys that, like, if Taylor goes down, Wilkins is going to be getting carries, and he's going to be the bell cow. He's going to get 20, 25 carries a game, and we know he's an efficient runner. He's not sexy. He's not going to break one off for 60 yards, but he's going to get 5-8 yards every carry, just bruising it up the middle. So that's a guy, like you said, that I'm less worried about going and trying to replace all of this, all of these guys at once. Let's go get some of these sneaky guys that like you said, this is a pattern at this point.
Like a Chase Edmonds. I mean, we haven't seen Kenyon Drake play a full season in the NFL. Chase Edmonds is only 40% owned in some form, in some formats. He'd be something to pick up if there's I mean, Drake was in a walking boot. I really do think that
Jamal Williams is out there in a lot of leagues.
Jamal Williams. We're seeing the effects of not having a preseason. I mean, they're just going 100%, and so it's something to watch for, and maybe pick up those attractive pieces now that are right behind a great situation.
Yeah, no, and we touched on that earlier. We know there's going to be some bargaining again that goes on at the end of the year, but how like the NFLPA can't be saying we don't need preseason anymore.
Right.
Just can't happen now. That this changes the whole collective bargaining agreement. Negotiations moving forward. Things have changed quite a bit now. All right, biggest fantasy surprise of the season so far. George, let's start with you.
So I touched on it before. I think Robbie Anderson is somebody that was a really sneaky pick, and it's probably available on waivers. To his 18 targets so far on his new team, 15 receptions, 230 yards, and a touch. He looks really good. He has a lot of chemistry out there. I've been surprised by him so far. Another one that I will throw out there is Gardner Minshew. A lot of folks were kind of down, and just the Jaguars in general. The Jaguars are outperforming.
They are overachieving, no doubt.
Overachieving. They have a very weak schedule coming up. DJ Shark is not necessarily lighting the world up, but he's also caught every single one of his passes that he's been thrown to. So it's only a matter of time before he really takes off. So Jaguars in general, and right down the Chenault, actually having a bunch of rushes this week as well as catches. So for me, the Jaguars are the biggest surprise from a receiver perspective in a new place. Definitely Robbie Anderson.
All right, Nate, kicking it to you. Who's your big surprise so far?
This is going to be a jab at one of my fantasy co-players, but I think Austin Eckler is kind of underperformed, in the surprise being Joshua Kelly. He's showing up in some leagues to be a waiver pickup this week. If he's for some reason available, pick him up. But I was surprised at how many touches he's gotten. He had more touches last week than Austin Eckler did. So that's something to watch for. I did not think he'd be coming in as a fourth round pick, that ready to go. You know what?
I'll tell you about Eckler. So I can agree with the sentiment, except it's not a surprise for me. I had him in our dynasty league, and I wanted nothing to do with him. He did great for me last year, but I wanted nothing to do with Eckler. Realistically, I want nothing to do with anybody on that Chargers team, with the exception of maybe Herbert after actually coming out and balling out a little bit against Kansas City. Like maybe he has a bright future there, but I have no confidence in anything that's going on there in the team formerly known as the San Diego Chargers. My big pick, and I'm going to go. You left him off your list, George. You were talking about Jacksonville. Keelan Cole Sr. He's got a touchdown in each game. He's been targeted in each game, and I have no idea where this guy came from, who he was. I knew nothing about him until he was catching touchdowns against the Colts. And so, he's got 12 targets on the year so far. He's just doing things, nearly 10 yards a catch. So he's out there catching touchdowns and doing things in Jacksonville. And I would agree with you a little bit on Minshew, and I have to eat a little bit of crow on there. Nate's brother Isaac was giving me grief because I'm still not a believer in Minshew. I have to believe that this kid, 6th round pick, and all he does is just chuck the ball over the place. He's going to put up some numbers, but that team's never going to win with him, and eventually it's going to go away. And I'm also, I'm looking at Jacksonville, Miami, and this week and thinking how come Thursday night football? Why do we keep getting these garbage games?
That's Thursday night football.
No, just kidding. Why has it got to be 2 teams in Florida that aren't going to win more than 3 games this year? Come on.
See, the
Ohio battle was pretty exciting, so maybe the Florida one will be. I don't know.
Yeah, just because it's the game was entertaining, even though being played poorly, doesn't mean it was a good game. What do you got for me? You don't agree with me about Jacksonville or about Minshew?
I don't agree about Minshew. I think he's new in his career. He's a charismatic leader. He has a hell of an arm. I know in our first
jorts.
Be that as it may.
Jorts in the handlebar. Come on.
First of all, he's the easiest Halloween costume ever, okay? You get yourself a bandana, you get yourself either a painted on or a legit mustache, and you are Gardner Minshew.
Bandana, jorts, and a handlebar.
Second of all, in our first YouTube episode, you said that the Jacksonville Jaguars were going to be the bottom of the league. Or close to it.
You know what? I still don't see them winning more than 3-4 games this year. I get it. They won one, and they beat my Colts in the game that they shouldn't have won because my boy Phillip Rivers threw 14 interceptions. But, I just don't – they're not that good. And I get it. They came back because Tennessee relaxed. They're still not that good. We can have this argument all day long. They're not that good. They're not winning the division. They're not making the playoffs. They're not that good.
So Rick, what if I was to tell you their next few games are against the Dolphins, the Bengals, the Texans, and the Lions?
All right. I would say they lose at Cincinnati and they lose at Houston.
Ooh.
I think they do both of those. Houston is bad. There's no doubt about it. But Houston's played maybe the 2 best teams in the league to start the season.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree with that.
Huh?
I don't disagree with that at all.
So right. Well, and again, we already talked about that Kansas City Baltimore game. That's gonna be fun on Monday night. Who's not excited about Monday Night Football? But so Houston's had a rough start to the season, and I don't think they're that good. Their defense is mediocre, and they poor Deshaun Watson doesn't have anybody to throw the ball to. We thought maybe Will Fuller was gonna be it, and then he had all of 0 targets on Sunday.
Well, he got hurt. He got hurt. Cooks took over. He had a pretty good game. It's just a matter of, do you know which one of those are going to be the one that pops off in any given game?
I don't think I want either of them as my number 1 receiver. That's, I guess, the point I'm trying to make. Mm-hmm. I don't think either of them are terrible receivers, but I don't think either of them can carry a load. They had this guy, maybe you've heard of him. His name was DeAndre Hopkins, and I know he wanted out of town, but you got back a broken David Johnson. I know he's been okay this year, but he's going to get hurt too. So I don't know. I'm not excited about them. I don't think they're as bad as their record or what the points would look at. That being said, they beat the Jaguars at home. Heard it here first. All right. Let's that's enough arguing about the Jaguars. Who's your guy? Give me one guy to look out for in week 3. Who's your guy? Start with George. Yeah.
Okay. Guy to look out for in week 3. I'm going to say Kenyon Drake, even though it's a really easy answer. I would trade up for him. I would definitely trade low on him because he is probably, I think he's at about 30th in the running back list right now. When he was drafted in the first round or first part of the second round, I feel like that's coming. I feel like a lot of the success of the offense in Arizona is going to lead to more opportunities for him to be able to run and be more elusive in the future. So I'm calling a really big game for Kenyon Drake this week.
That's a surprise. I'm almost ready to cut bait on running backs from Arizona. I know they were great last year, but they have had little to no interest in running the ball this year or really giving them touches. Chase Edmonds or Kenyon Drake. Although Edmonds did drop a touchdown pass on Sunday. Thank you for that at Chase. Nate, who's your guy to watch for here in week 3?
Whoever's going to play at the Rams running back. No, that's my hopeful prediction. But if Darrell Henderson gets the job and Akers is still beat up and I think Malcolm Brown's got a finger issue. Darrell Henderson, and he's not owned. I mean, he'd be a good pickup too if he's available in some leagues. But I think that the surprise for me with the Rams this year is that I had heard quite a bit that they had a bad offensive line. They wouldn't be able to reestablish the run game. But it seems like they've had problems with figuring out who's going to be the running back. But it seems the running game is fine.
Yeah, the ground game itself is not what's hurting. I would wonder how much of that is a function of the teams they've played. And I'm not saying
I
yes
could
or
be
no,
wrong, but I think Buffalo is suffering some injuries at linebacker. I could be wrong on that. So you could even see Tyler Higbee having another monster game. But I don't know. It's interesting to see that they're not. I, as a Cardinals fan, was hoping they'd come out of the gate terrible, but it doesn't seem like they're doing that. So.
Yeah, I mean, as we look at that, I mean, I in week 1, right? I called the Cardinals as winners of that division, and I'm sticking by it. And now that you see the injuries piling up for the Niners, I'll tell you, I was a little surprised to see the defense in flux for 2 games. Now, granted, New England's offense is not bad, neither is Atlanta's, but I thought Seattle's defense would be better than it is. That being said, it finally looks like good old Pete Carroll has decided to let Russell Wilson eat. And that guy is just, I mean, 2 weeks in, he's my MVP. I don't think anybody
that
can really
division
argue
is
with
not
me.
looking fun to play in right now.
No, I think you want nothing to do with that division.
Nothing there. So, yep.
So it'll be interesting. I think the end of the day, what we're going to see this year in the NFL is it's a battle of attrition, and it's whoever can figure out how to stay healthy is going to be the winner of the most games. My guy to watch out for this week, I'm going to get back on his bandwagon. The Jets have a little bit of a weak secondary, and I'm going to say T.Y. Hilton. With Paris Campbell getting hurt, I'm going to say T.Y. is finally going to get over his drops. Dropped another touchdown on Sunday, by the way. He's finally going to get over his hiccups with the drops. He's going to find his way into the end zone, and he's going to put up a good week this week. So, Paul Adams, if you're watching, go ahead and start T.Y. this week. He's a safe bet against what I think is just an awful Jags team. So that's my guy to look out for week 3. George, any parting words? You look like you got something you want to say.
Yeah, I'm majorly excited about Josh Allen so far.
The league I have CMAC, I mean, I'm just stacked over there. I got Josh Allen as well. And it's Josh Allen. They let him throw the ball this year. Who knew? And the kid could throw it. Yeah, Diggs is having a monster year.
It's coming together for him. If you had to guess if he was going to be 440 yards last week, first of all, who would ever guess that? And then second of all, how many of those yards would you have thought would have had to been on the ground? So
yeah.
From a fantasy perspective, he was always a great buy low for just knowing that just his legs alone will get him into the top 10 for the year, generally speaking. and now he's vying for
chucking the ball around and getting touchdowns too. Yeah, I'm with you. Love it. Big buy on Josh Allen. Nate, parting words from you.
I was looking at I was a beneficiary of Oakland's terrible defense last night, having Alvin Kamara, but they're playing New England, and it seems to be the running back in New England's Cam Newton. So Cam Newton's had a surprising comeback year. He's another player that surprised me. Parting words is that not having preseason has hurt with injuries, but also defense is not wrapping up because it's hard to figure out which quarterbacks are actually the star quarterbacks. If you took a quarterback early, you might be happy, but then you're looking, I could have waited a long time and got Cam Newton or Josh Allen. So.
Yeah, nope. It's you're absolutely right. So Nate, appreciate you joining the show this week. This has been fun.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah.
We'll have to get you on another time. So thanks, thanks for joining. We'll see you back here next week.
Sounds good. God bless.
Have fun, M&M Nation.